we're actually waiting for you guys to come in. Just to be very honest, we only now send out the link.
People catching up.
People catching up. And probably the reason too is some of it is supposed to be pre-recorded, and some of it's supposed to be live. But since we were coming here today, I was like, you know what? Why not turn it on? Or why not get in?
So you're getting it live and direct tonight?
Live and direct. So, just seeing. We probably good this one like 2 minutes messaging people.
Yeah.
Bringing them in.
Let's send out that link.
See what's happening out here. Send it to any church board. Send it to Mikhail.
Padels are sending it your way,
so. Mikhail might be in crusade, you know. I think it's bad manners to call him more like live on air.
Anything is anything, eh?
If you pick up. By the way, there's nothing like bad manners here. Just letting y'all know.
Y'all
I know bad manners here.
Comment in the chat if y'all here. Let's look at the chat.
Joshua, what's happening? Josh is locked in. That's a vibe. Yeah. Joshua, check this. What clue do you get from the title that you're seeing down below? Write it in the chat. What clue? What do you think we're going to be talking about?
Yeah,
I think
let us know.
I think Joshua might have seen. Bro, did you see the WhatsApp post? Maybe he did, and so he's locked in. But let me know what do you think this tonight's about? That's important.
Yeah, can they pick it up?
Yeah. So. All right. So with that said, and since Josh, one of the things about Joshua and I is he's always been like on dorm, my cousin plus my roommate, dorm mate. I mean, grew up together, went to secondary, primary, and university. So that's my friend and everything. And so we shared so many experiences together. We went into so many new places together, and there was always this time when doing certain things was fearful. So, for example, I sort of coaxed him to start spoken word. He started to start spoken word, and yes, Josh, that's a good one. Get out of your comfort zone. It's like I learned a lot from you.
Yeah, that's cute.
So when he did this this spoken word. I am a best man.
Oh, I heard that one.
I may not be the one that Joshua, you could probably come online and do that for us at some point if you still had the lyrics.
Guess artist.
Yeah.
Performance.
But I remember that first point where it was time for him to start something new, and there's always this initial apprehension of like he laughed, always this initial apprehension of is this me? Is this am I faking here? Spoken word is not my thing.
Something in your mind.
Something is not my thing.
Yeah.
And so that's literally where this podcast sits, because I remember when Shannon and I started the pod, the idea for the pod. We met outside at church one time. We were like, it's time for us to use our unfair advantage because we have all these nice things to make it happen, all the resources to make it happen. I was like, why don't we do it? And one of the reasons why I felt like I can't even start podcast, because I was telling myself I'm not a podcaster. Like, who you feel, you know, you're gonna just put up mics and do all sorts of things. And
No,
Yeah.
I see with you there. Listen, I've been dealing with those types of feelings and tendencies forever, and I feel like it's not a symptom that's unique to us. I feel like everybody goes through these feelings where we feel inadequate, or we feel like, can I even do this? People asking me to do this and do this, and I feel like I'm not the one.
But when you started your spoken word, you felt that same way?
I did. I felt like there's so many good artists out there, and even listening, going around to different shows, and I hear people and I'm like, wow, what am I doing? Yeah.
No, literally. But that's heavy, because I mean, to put yourself out there in front of a crowd that you don't know, all these eyes on you, that in itself is nerve-wracking. But now, how would you, looking back, and you're like, oh, the younger Kaya was like, hey, what would you tell yourself? Would you tell yourself?
No, I think that I would tell myself what I was speaking about earlier, that everybody goes through these types of emotions, and it's not unique to you. So while you are also feeling like, damn, I'm not good at this, everybody else is going through that, and so you don't have to feel inferior to others. You can just feel like we all struggling. So don't fret yourself.
But it's I just think about, like, this is what it's known as, the imposter syndrome. It's known as, you're a fake, you know, this is not you, stay in your comfort zone. Joshua, you got it right, stay within your comfort zone. And I'm like, this is the one thing this voice in our heads that will keep us back from doing the things that we were meant for. Like, you know, when it comes to like goal setting, everybody has these big goals that they want to achieve, the dream big goals, and it's like, will you achieve this? Will you achieve this? But here's all the reasons why you won't achieve this.
Yeah, it seems out of your reach.
It seems out of your reach, and it gives you, I think the imposter syndrome, for me, it gives me logical reasons why this is not me. Like, it's convincing.
Like the reason's not far-fetched. It's like, this is the reason, and it makes sense. You understand?
Yeah.
So it's easy to fall into that I can't do this mindset.
But if we had to just talk about that voice, that voice that comes along, and that voice seems to be on your side. It seems to be on your side. So I do every now and again, not now, every now and again, I take a run. I ain't running right now. I just start back running. I take a run, and like I do the 3K on the mornings, right? So like consecutively I'll do the 3K. Like on my way back, it's a morning run. No one is looking. At the point where my chest starts to burn, my calves and my muscles start to seize up, there is this voice that comes, and the voice is like, bro, you could stop, you know. Like, you could stop walking, bro. Like,
you did enough.
What point you trying to prove? You've done enough. Like, you're tired. You need to stop for your health. Stop for yourself. And I'm listen.
This voice looking out for you.
I feel like this voice have my back. No, it does. And it's like the voice saying, listen, man, you can stop right now. You don't have to put yourself through all of that stress to beat that time, to get better health. Like, what? Bro, what do you prefer? You want to die?
I love that point.
Why you like it?
I love that point because it's like we not realizing that we our own worst enemy. You know, it's like we telling ourselves that it's okay to quit, it's okay to give up. You know, you're not really that good at what you're trying to set out to do, anyways. So take a little break
for yourself. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. For yourself. Let me just say good night to Janae Fraser.
Janae.
What?
Oh my gosh! Hey, girl.
I've heard so much about you.
My girl.
Yeah. That's the thing. So this voice comes and it's loud and it's on your side and it appears like it has your back. It's like, you know, it really doesn't, because if I respond, if I listen to that voice, if I don't press on, I will never reach the places that I was meant to reach, because why? I decided to go back or stay in that comfort zone. And it's not that I am not capable for more. It's not that I'm not capable of going further. It's just that I believe that voice and I don't, and how it literally affected the release of this podcast was like, I just didn't buy anything for the podcast. It didn't buy the mics. Even if you had the resources to get it, I just didn't start, because, and even when I got the mics, because I remember I was praying this prayer, because I would never get mics for myself. So one blessed Friday night, I say, Lord, listen, this is for you. I'm gonna buy this thing for you, not for me.
It's for the Lord.
So yeah, for the Lord. Shanae saying hi. So I said, okay, yeah, I'm gonna get it. Biggest purchase for equipment ever. I don't buy audio equipment. Alex would know. It's not my space. So I bought the audio equipment. And I sat on that thing for 6 months.
Taking dust.
I sat on that thing for 6 months. It was exciting when I first get it.
Of course.
Like, yeah, boy, you're going to start this podcast now. And when I get
hype.
that hype, I had the hype, and then it settled in. Excuse. You don't know podcaster. You feel like
you waste your money there.
You waste your money. You know what I mean? So I was like, boy, I sat on this podcast for months. So much so when you check for last week's episode, for those of you who had a chance to check last week's episode, when you check the timeline, we had this discussion in December 2021. We released that episode in like May 2022. And then we never did anything again for a whole year, and then we relaunched again, starting back. So, I mean, if anything, I think, Kaya, there's like a little, you know, something in this.
Yeah.
It's keep pressing on.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit more about that. That imposter.
Yeah.
That imposter syndrome.
You what you like? I'm the imposter. No, I really don't.
Use us.
Yeah. So no, but for me, I see that voice coming every time I try and go against status quo. Because for example, I mean, you guys could see it. We could read about it. We push in a solid 14, 16 folks on this pod. I mean, that's one of the aspects of it about it too. Is this is not the Caribbean culture.
It isn't.
How many people you really know?
You really sitting down doing podcasts?
Like,
yeah.
It's hardly Caribbean culture, one, and it's also hardly church culture too. Caribbean church culture. So you have another subset inside of that, and so I'm like, why? This voice is like, why would you start a podcast when nobody else around you does it? Like,
that's not your niche.
What you trying to do?
That's people not looking for that.
What you trying to do? So, I kind of have, I have company. I have company. In scripture, but before we go to scripture, I started studying recently, masters.
Yeah.
And it's one of those quantitative studies. Good night, Romel. We must follow our calling. I agree. But it's one of those quantitative studies. Math, statistics, computer science.
Yeah.
And when I got into that class, man, seen a bunch of nerds, boy. Bunch of fellas with glasses and thick glasses. It's like, wait, they carry for me the image of what constitutes
that degree.
And I'm like, I come in here, your boy, dress up and thing, you're out of place, boy.
Alright.
that's not your space. So maybe like the imposter syndrome has to be fought against, because one, it does come from a place where there's a self-conversation that you need to have with yourself to press forward. But boy,
no, I've also experienced that in the academic sphere as well.
Yeah.
Because growing up, I've always, gotten good grades. I've done well in school, primary school, high school, and then going into my MBBS degree, it's like, okay, now everybody's smart here now. You understand?
Yeah,
we're not playing anymore.
They do play.
Everybody know their work. So it's like, do I belong here? Am I smart enough? Am I good enough to even have gotten into this place? They make a mistake or something. They make a mistake by putting me on that list of that acceptance list.
Yeah.
And I experienced those feelings, those thoughts, even though I was still passing my courses, I was doing well as well, but it didn't matter. I felt inadequate because I was struggling. Studying, and that extra effort that it took to pass my exams now is not just okay, you could just fly by. You have to put in the work, and it looked like other people were
just breezing by.
Yeah,
because they were not imposters.
Yeah, because nobody else was an
imposter except you. Yeah.
No, but I had friends as well that I spoke to about it, and they would also yeah, girl, that's how I feel. I feel like I'm boss. I feel like I do belong here. I watch him, I'd be like, girl, what?
You know those moments where you think you're the imposter, right? And you're hoping somebody else thinks that they're the imposter too. But then when you talk to people, you realize, oh, nobody else thinks that they're imposter. But I mean, if you find a little clique of folks who think they're the imposter, okay, I think that makes the journey slightly easier. But I think what the flip side of that coin is, let's say in that same journey you found other persons will be like, yeah, but this one beats anyway. Then it might make you feel like, hey, we should all give up together. Because this is not us.
Yeah. Ooh. I love that.
Yeah.
It depends on what we're talking about. We're talking about getting out of this kind of syndrome, or we're talking about settling into this. Because okay, I'm glad that we could connect on this imposter syndrome thing, but we don't plan to stay here. We plan to get out of this thing, because many persons I think haven't gotten out. Yeah.
Like right now, I think, guys, just let us know. Is there something that
Shanae.
Hey, Shanae touchdown.
Yeah, listening intently. We love that.
Like, is there something that, just mention it in the chat, like what would be that thing that you may feel like you're an imposter for, or people may feel like they're an imposter for?
Yeah, let us know.
Yeah, because I think it buries us. It buries some folk, and I know some stories of persons who didn't make it out alive. Like they didn't step into that you know.
No, because if we still have people around us who the company that we keep telling, they're basically validating these negative feelings. That, yeah, girl, you sure about that?
Yeah.
You sure you want to do that?
Yeah. You know, as you say that, could the story of sin in the Bible start off with an imposter syndrome? Okay. Let's not stretch it, but watch. So the devil came to Eve. He's like, yo, what did Lord tell her? Don't eat this thing, blah blah blah, don't eat it. For in the day we eat of it, you will surely die. And the devil basically say, why? You sure, why? He came, and this is me working with, I could be very wrong. Just going with the thoughts wrong.
Go with the flow.
See, he came at her questioning her identity. That you know you want this fruit. Like it looking good.
Yeah, you're playing
like you want.
Like you don't want it. You're playing like you're better than this.
You're better than this.
You're not.
You know you want this fruit. And I think the imposter syndrome comes at us with the imposter syndrome comes at us with this. Who you trying to be godly or?
Who you trying to play?
Who you trying to play?
You feel you perfect.
You feel it perfect. You know you want this thing. You know? So I look at it through those lenses. Like this is how the story of sin started. It started with telling someone that they're something that they're not, or at least they're God is holding them back in one sense. And so Eve didn't believe. You checking the text?
No, go ahead. I wrote something.
Eve didn't believe, and so she was, in one sense, because of her decision, because of listening to that voice, she was unable to step into that particular purpose. You know, that's a real thought. And then let's jump to Jesus. Like the devil, when he comes, he questions your identity. Check throughout scripture. You see, he keeps questioning our identity. When Jesus was in the wilderness, he came and he said, if you are the Son of God, then turn these stones into bread. At each point of these temptations was, if you are the Son of God.
Yeah.
You know what Jenny's saying?
I can't even see that.
Jenny saying, don't think there's ever a time in life where one won't feel like an imposter. Jenny, why is that? Why?
Listen, I was looking for something on my phone while Jenny types and lets us know. I was looking for something on my phone because I made my prayer list and I wrote it down some time ago. And it says, Lord, help me to believe you are leading me in the direction you want to go, and I am not just trying to keep up appearances. And I feel that so heavily relates to what we're talking about here today, because sometimes I feel like, am I faking?
Yeah.
Am I faking trying to be good? Am I faking trying to be a good Christian? You know? Am I just trying to keep up appearances? Am I pretending? Am I an imposter?
Yeah.
That I'm good and I'm really bad. You know?
I want to hear what Jenny have to say. But for me, right, when you talk about that, that's how my time in church changed. It started with the pursuit to be authentic. To be like, hey, I am doing this thing. I am trying to do it for God and not for people. Because the moment you start pleasing people, that's the moment things fall. Because the crowd is fickle. You know? So boy. I think there's an underlying message to be authentic. To to be authentic.
Yeah.
So for me, in my journey in church life, I grew up Adventist, born and did the thing, went to all the schools,
Mm-hmm.
the whole cadre of stuff. You know, there was a point in my life when you never missed a Wednesday night, never miss a Sunday,
Yeah.
never miss a Sabbath. And so you feel like you're doing all of these things. Like you might be in the praise team, you might be, teaching the lesson study, you might be doing all these sort of things. And then you still feel like you're not that person.
Yeah.
You still feel empty. You still feel like as if this is just an act.
Yeah.
Like who you fooling? Who you fooling? And you're faced with this reality that's deep and dark. And I'm hoping that in a very big way some of us could be free from that.
Yeah. Okay, let's see what Janae said. She said, I believe it's because you're always evolving, and I've never been in this situation / time in my life before. So there will always be that voice leading you to doubt yourself and your abilities. Yeah. So it's like as you enter new situations, you always have that sense of, do I belong here in this new situation in life? Every new life event, because I finished my degree and now I'm an intern, and it's like, am I a good intern?
Are you a good intern? Spare me. Spare me. Oh, by the way, Brother Ben is saying hi. Shout out to Brother Ben.
Yeah.
He tuned in. So guys, here's the reason why we decided this podcast was so necessary, because there's a whole train that this podcast is going to go on. But I think it's necessary to let everybody know that if you're ever invited to line with us here, if you're ever invited to talk on things that are on the minds of us young people, of us adults, of us church people, of us people who are trying to follow God's word, God's mission, I think this voice is coming for you. I think this voice is coming for you. This voice might tell you, boy, listen, you see that podcast thing, but leave that for them people on there, man. Don't do it. Take your time. Some of you might feel like, I'm not a talker. I'm not a talker.
Improvise, because this whole podcast is improvised.
Like people thinking this is Monday night service. What is this? It's not. When last you see tea on Monday night? You understand? But the goal is to have a space, as we always say, for us to have these Christ-like conversations in a very comfortable way, to talk to things that Christ himself wants us to address, because at the end of the day he wants us to be set free. And I think if you may have been out there thinking, hey, that you're the only one feeling like an imposter. Hi, pleasant evening, Theresa.
Hi.
You might be feeling like you're the only one that's an imposter, and I'm saying to you, no.
Yeah, we all imposters.
I've felt like an imposter too. Kaya has felt like an imposter.
Yeah.
We all have this, and as Janae is saying, and that's probably an indication that you're evolving. You're not in the same place, that you're trying new things. And maybe this is a point to say, if you're not feeling like an imposter, it could mean two things. One, that you're not challenging yourself enough. But two, you have challenged yourself and you're very settled into your purpose and into your mission, and that doesn't bother you anymore. Like you're doing what you're supposed to do. And so I pray that we're on the side where if you're not feeling like an imposter, it means you've stepped into that big dream for yourself. But at the other end, it's like, I hope that you challenge yourself, because the comfort zone is very comfortable.
It is.
It is comfortable.
I wanna talk about reason for the imposter syndrome, and it comes from the story of Saul. I've been reading Saul recently.
That's a nice one.
King Saul, yeah. And he had imposter syndrome tendencies. God chose him to be king. He was like, me, I can't be king. I come from least tribe, from the least family in all of Israel. It can't be me, you know, even though he was chosen. And we see that in the Bible, that God has a tendency to choose people who you wouldn't expect. Yeah? But Saul had an underlying insecurity that ran throughout his story. He, at all turns, his movements, his decisions was based because he was insecure despite his physical attributes. The Bible says he was tall, he was handsome, you know. But he just didn't feel like he could measure up to be king. And I feel like that is where a lot of our problems lie. That insecure feeling that we are not good enough. And who is feeding this? Who's telling us these things?
You know, one thing I could never understand. Good looking people who don't feel like they're good looking. Don't come for me. No, but like Saul, he had the stature. I mean, he towered over everyone else. The young chap was handsome. And you still feeling, you know, this deep insecurity. But God could choose you even if you have an insecurity. I think with Paul.
Of course.
Yeah, I think with Saul, it's.
No, Saul had all the avenues to make the right decisions. But he chose to do the wrong things because, as I say, his situation is not unique in the Bible, in that he's not the only one that God
who had those feelings,
and also who got picked from the least of the least. You understand? Look at David, came from humble beginnings as well. Jesus, I mean, the ultimate example. You know, who is he? What could come out of Nazareth? All of these people had a cause to feel like they are imposters. You know, but it's really, I think it's up to us to allow those feelings to manifest and become outward expressions, or to say, no, I understand how this is how I'm feeling, but we don't allow our feelings to control us.
No, definitely. There's a comment from Romel saying, I figure that the imposter syndrome means that we are growing and we should allow it to do. What was it?
It's time.
I'm trying to read the screen, but
we should allow it to do its time, just like a caterpillar becomes a cocoon before it turns into a butterfly.
So the imposter syndrome, in one sense, I'm capturing that it is fundamentally a good indication. Like you're challenging yourself, and that voice comes as your own enemy to let you know that challenge is not good. Like, if for those of you who spend time in the gym, that imposter syndrome comes on a daily. That point where the weight, you've reached your threshold, and there's a voice that comes and tells you can't go anymore. It's that point of like, yo, you're challenging yourself, and yes, you have to let it do its time on you so that you get to places that you would not normally have gotten. But definitely, I'm hoping that somebody sees this, sees the story of Paul, sees the points of every key person in Scripture. They've been challenged. They've been challenged. Moses was challenged. Moses was like, listen, I stammer. Jeremiah was challenged. He was like, listen, I'm but a child. You know, everybody felt, most of them felt like there was these hurdles that they needed to cross, these hurdles of maturity, these hurdles of time, these hurdles of things. And I was listening to this guy, Myron Gold, on my way up. He was like, if there's one piece of advice he would have given himself and his younger self, it would have been do it quicker, do it faster. That, where sometimes we wait to fulfill our calling, or we wait to fulfill our mission simply because there is something that we think we need to get it done. And when you reach to that place where you've got it, you've finished it, you got it done, it you realize, wait a minute, what was I waiting for? When I look back at this podcast and we have 2 mics and we had the auditorium, like, and the couch, I mean, it's not a beanbag yet, but when it turns into a beanbag, y'all will see. I'm thinking back and I'm watching my 2021 self. I'm like, do it quicker.
Yeah.
What are you waiting for? You know what I mean?
I think we could use this type of imposter syndrome as a tool that could keep us humble as well.
Yeah.
You know, because at the same time we don't want to feel like, well, I reach. You know, not I ain't really need anything. I ain't really.
Oh, that's spot
I
on.
could do whatever I want.
Yeah.
And those types of feelings tend to steer us away from relying on Christ. You know?
You know where you sent my mind?
Where?
It's like, it keeps you humble. It checks you.
Yeah.
It's like it's funny because I came here, I mean, in one sense to talk fully bad about the imposter syndrome.
Look at that.
Fully bad about the thing. But what I'm hearing from you is, in some sense, you kind of need this humility check.
Yeah.
You ain't reach.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You ain't reach. So why would you even, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. We shouldn't. We need to balance the extremes.
Yeah.
Balance the extremes. Don't feel like you can't do.
Don't feel like you can't.
But don't feel like
you could do all.
You're invincible.
Yeah, you're invincible.
You know, we need God to steer us in that direction of.
Definitely.
We need to rely on Him to fulfill those goals that we have. The podcast. We need to rely on Him to get there. But we can't. Stay down.
You can't stay down. So I think you're painting a nice picture. You can't feel like you don't feel. This is the encouragement here. Don't feel like you can't do it. On the other hand, don't feel like you could do it all, or like you know, like you're invincible.
Yeah.
And there is this balancing act, if you wish, where it's like, hey, stand in the middle, where you can do it. It is possible. But also, you need Christ to be that enabling force, to keep you humble, but also keep you capable. That's it. Let me catch you.
You have quite a few chat going on.
Let me pull this thing closer. Disrupt the symmetry of the pod. Let me see.
Yeah.
Let me catch this one. Theories are saying, Gideon was chosen even though he didn't feel. Gideon was another guy. So much so, you know how many times he has got for remember that fleece check?
Yeah.
You know, put the fleece. Do this. Put
Okay,
it on.
but this time switch it around.
Switch it around. I ain't too sure if I hear the first round. let me hear it again. Gideon is a good one. Theresa. Romel is saying, yeah, definitely. If you want something, you never had, you must be willing to do something you never done.
Romel, I love that.
Romel Horn, be honest with me, bro. You watching them YouTube motivations? Because, you know, for the week, right, I've been hearing these motivation things like, if you want something you never had, you have to do something you never did. You know what I mean? That sounds like a Les Brown kind of thing. But it's definitely true, Romel, so thanks for that. I think I remember Romel from school. Rani Horn's brother. Just confirm that. Just give me a thumbs up if I got that right, bro. Awesome. Janae saying, I believe God uses the least likely person to show the extent of His almighty power.
That's right. There's several examples of that.
Heavy.
Several. And that is why we should feel comforted in the fact when it is that we feel like we are imposters in a sense. Take comfort in that. Take comfort in that God has used less than me before and done greater things. He can use me to accomplish this goal that I'm going through right now. Take comfort in that fact.
Yeah, take comfort in that. It's like, could the here's where I'm going. Could the imposter syndrome make me a candidate to be used for God's glory? You know, like could it be? Because right now, as Janae is saying, I may feel like the least likely. I may feel like, I ain't supposed to be writing no book. I'd wait till like 45.
Yeah.
Why would you write a book at your age?
Who reading that?
So like, what if the least likely should write a book? Maybe that should be the title of this episode. The least likely.
Switch it.
We'll have Alex make a switch after we get a proper vote from the audience. No, but like the least likely. God wants to use the least likely, and it's the least likely who know that they are least likely, who consistently tell themselves that they are least likely. What Arlene is saying.
Arlene is saying, I feel like the imposter syndrome comes from trying to measure up to the perfect Christian.
Ooh. And we know there isn't any.
And what we need to remember, as we said before, is that perfect Christian also feels like an imposter. Unless they feel like they're too big for their britches.
Or the person who we think is a perfect Christian. You know?
Yeah.
And boy, that's an episode. Arlene, that's an episode. I could tell you that for the better part. Mikhail is definitely he's calling back, but he's definitely not watching the pod if he's calling me. Unless if he wants to be live on air, call you live. Hello. Yeah, and if we don't check all the boxes, then we feel like imposters, definitely. Romel is confirming that I did get it right. Jenny wants to change the title. Lovely. Alright, so guys, this I don't even want to end the pod, but I'll tell you this. We've learned a couple things about this imposter syndrome, that this is not you, or is it? It very well could be you, but you don't feel like it's you, and I think it's a space for us to dwell. It's a space for us to appreciate, because I did come, I get humbled, I get checked today. I did come to like paint it as all bad, but in one sense I believe it's all good, because
it's not all good.
It's not all good, but all things work together for good.
It's a balance.
It's a balancing act, because as Kaya was saying, there is this middle ground in which we should exist. It's like, you know, it's don't feel like you can't, but also don't feel like you're invincible. But we have to meet in the middle ground where I think God exists, and God is the one saying, hey, my strength is made perfect in your least likeliness.
Correct. Rest. Find comfort in the one who is invincible.
That's it. That's it. Because God exists on the far end.
Yeah, he exists on that extreme.
And he wants to enable you to get that in. You know, there's I'll just close with this illustration. WWE. WWE has it's a wrestling sort of match.
Yeah.
Right? And every now and again they have like two partners, like they double up, right? So two partners fight against another set, and so every now and again you would have this. One of them would fight, and then at a certain point they would tap the other guy in when one is getting beaten up. So you'll always see like one of the guy getting beaten up, his partner will always be like clamoring, come tap me in. You know what I mean? So I can come and fight for you. And I think in one sense, when you're not where you are, you're not doing what you're meant to do, I just see God figuratively clamoring at the wrestle line.
Tap me in.
Tap me in.
Yeah.
You
I
know
love
what I
that.
mean? And it's like I think God is saying to you, if right now you don't feel like you are fulfilling God's purpose for your life, tap God in. You know, let God fight for you. Let Him enable you to do the things that you yourself don't feel like
That's
you
right.
could do.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Romella's saying, I look forward to being an invited guest on the podcast, or is this an imposter goal?
Nah, you should come, bro.
Yeah.
You should come. One time we must do it online and get the folks coming in. Get a whole discussion flowing.
Yeah, man.
So that's a promise we should keep at some point. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being with us on this casual conversation about some of the things that both you and I deal with on this Beanbag podcast. Have a good one. Rest well. See you again.
Bye, guys.
Next week. Oh yeah.